Now, Armand Grobler is a South African-born, now Australian-based wildlife and nature photographer. In his latest project titled Kruger, Armand immerses and guides us on a magnificent photo safari experience through this collection of images that seek to highlight the natural and splendor and extraordinary wildlife of the Greater Kruger region. Now, to tell us more about this exciting and picturesque journey, Armand joins us now on Zoom. Armand, good morning. Welcome to Morning Live. Let's start with you telling us about when you realized that you had a passion for wildlife and a calling for nature.
Well, I was being born in South Africa. We spent a lot of time in the Kruger National Park. And I think wildlife and nature has always been a part of my calling. When I was 9 years old, we moved over to Australia, and I started working at a pet shop from the age of 14, then went to work at Sydney's Taronga Zoo, and eventually at the age of 19 moved back to South Africa through a visit to the Kruger National Park. And I had actually just fallen in love with the place all over again. So I think my love for nature has always been there. It's just now the opportunity to be able to live it out in a way that I'd always dreamed of.
Now let's talk about a photo safari. What inspired this project?
I was on a photographic safari. So we have a company, Rulani Safaris, that operates in the SABC Game Reserve and also Manyeleti. And while I was on safari, I just wanted to share this with people, share the area, share the region. You know, I wanted to get it out there. And then just consulting with some of the staff at the Elephant Plains Game Lodge, we came up with the idea that, you know, to do a book. And from then on, I just thought, you know, it's a medium I've always dreamed about doing a book. And so that's one way. And it's both a presentable and affordable way to reach people and actually present them the Greater Kruger region. So yes, it was a plan that's been formulating for a couple of years, but yes, it just took that one moment to just sort of put it into practice.
I mean, take us through some of the wildlife parks that you've been to, you know, that produced the images that formed part of this photo book.
So the majority of it was done in the SABC Game Reserve. So we host our photographic safaris there at Elephant Plains Game Lodge. The reason for that is because it's such a high density wildlife area. So you've got a lot of cats, especially leopard, which is what our safaris are based on, as well as lion, wild dog, and so forth, with the typical and iconic African animals like elephant, giraffe. I've been privileged to spend a great deal of time in the Greater Kruger. So from the SABC, Klasiri, Guernsey, all of that sort of area, to be able to bring forth a project of such caliber. It's just it's in the Greater Kruger region. It's quite a bit easier to be able to off-road and get nice and close to the animals to get those images that you so long for.
Now you say that photo safari is not, you know, solely about taking pictures, but about connecting with nature, synchronizing mind, body and soul with the African heartbeat. I mean, what do you mean by this?
So the photo safari is actually, it immerses you in nature. You spend a lot of time with the animals. So on a regular safari, you know, you might look at an impala and a giraffe for a few minutes, take a photo. The guide will tell you a little bit about the animals, but on a photo safari, you actually connect with that animal. You spend a great deal of time with it. The longest time that I've ever spent with a particular animal, being a leopard, was 10 hours. So, you know, it's you learn about their habits, you look into the lives, and you actually become a part of that animal's life for a set amount of time. So it actually gives you a bit of an in-depth look into their lifestyle, and obviously that then creates the perfect photographic opportunities, because it's not a quick 5 or 10 minute view. You know, you spend a lot of time with the animals, which enables you to photograph them and actually immerse into that sort of scene.
And what did that teach you about yourself as a photographer? I mean, spending all those days, more than 10 days with them, what did that teach you about your craft and you as a photographer?
It taught me that I need patience. So patience is not something that I was born with, but patience is something that you do need as a wildlife photographer. And so, it's still something that I learn to this day. It's patience doesn't come naturally, but yeah, I guess it's one of the major aspects, that and persistence. You need to keep at it. You have to go through the heat, the scorching hot days and the freezing cold nights, living most of the time, outdoors. So you're open to the elements. When it's pouring down, Elephant Plains, it's an open vehicle, so you don't have a roof. So the amount of times we've driven in the rain, it really does test your patience. And when someone looks at a project like this, they will, you always see the end product, but you don't always see what it actually takes to achieve it. And that's the sort of fun bit, actually.
And towards the end of the book, you talk about the damage that has been done to the planet and how we can become custodians of nature and preserve our planets. Tell us more about this.
Well, I think it goes right back to the book of Genesis, when we're instructed to be custodians of God's creation. And I think, in today's modern world, one of the problems, and I pointed that out in the book, is wild dogs. Wild dogs are an endangered species, and we need to preserve our animals. I see every now and then, updates of animals being caught in snares, animals being shot because they get into farmlands. It's a horrific sort of horrific time that that we're living in, and I think it's now more important than ever to be able to conserve what we have. Rhinos is one thing as well. The following generations might not even be able to experience something like a rhino. So I touch base on it based on the wild dogs, but actually it goes far more than just that. We need to actually preserve what we have left, or our kids would never be able to experience what we do now.
I mean, this being your first book, how would you describe this experience and putting it all together? What was it like for you, and what can we expect more projects like this from you in the future?
Yes, that was absolutely incredible. It's what I live for. It's getting up in the morning, spending time in nature. I can't imagine it doing anything else. I think it's given my life a great deal of purpose and opportunities, such as talking to you this morning. And yes, I finished that book was published or launched in December, and I'm now busy. I'm actually currently in Mount Botswana, busy looking at doing a second project incorporating the Okavango region, the Kalahari, as well as the SABC sands again. So yeah, there's big plans going forward, but yes, we're just looking at potential opportunities.
And I mean, how difficult or how easy was it to choose the cover of, the book? I mean, I'm looking at all the photos that you took, some amazing. The elephant one, for instance, there's one of the monkeys as well, the mother with a baby monkey. This one is also another powerful cover. But how difficult was it to choose, the cover that just best describes what you photographed?
Okay, so the cover was actually quite relatively easy. I like a message being brought. So with that line, that was actually taken on the very first drive that I did at Elephant Plains working on the book. It was taken at night with the spotlight, and it just captures the intensity of the moment. It captures, that's one of the male lions. People who follow the SABC sands and Wild Earth would know that's one of the Avoca male lions, a big coalition. A coalition of two brothers, but a famous coalition. And I liked it because of the intensity of it. It's looking straight at you. It's got those fiery orange eyes lit up by the spotlight, and it portrays a message of something that's powerful, and that's what I want to, the message that I want to get across to people. It's a powerful message, and so for me it was actually quite simple. And I've got the similar image ready for the second project as well. So you want to convey a message in all of your images, especially the cover one. And I think it's a captivating image that draws the attention of the reader.
And how difficult was it to choose which photos to include in the book? I mean, there's so many beautiful ones. Take us through the decision of, to decide which goes into the book, or what do you say for the next book as well?
So I like to portray emotion. I believe that if you feel an emotional attachment to something, then you want to try and preserve it. It's much like with a pet owner. You know, if you've got an emotional attachment to your pet, you want to try and save it, you care for it. So I try and portray emotion throughout my book, and so it was quite a difficult feat to choose the images. There's a lot of images that didn't make it, but what I tried to focus on and what I spoke to the publisher was, you know, just to try and capture that emotion. So I chose an X amount of images, and then I want to say a big thanks to Heinrich van der Berg and HPH Publishing, because his help also he had a massive input, and he actually broadened that pool of images, and we worked together to be able to create something spectacular. So it was the message, the underlying sort of message is conservation and emotion, and it was with the publisher's help as well that we were able to get that across.
Armand, thank you so much for talking to us. Good luck, beautiful work. Thank you so much for talking to us. Nature and wildlife photographer Armand Grobler. He's in Botswana at the moment, and he's been talking to us about his debut photo book titled Photo Safari Kruger.